What's up, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. So glad you decided to stop back by for yet another episode of Binge and Snatch. And we are going to dive into episode 5. We're halfway there. Things are starting to unfold. I'm super excited. As always, like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already and become a part of the Snatch and Slay gang. So if you would like to know how I achieve this look that I have right here, let's go ahead and binge while we get snatched. Alright, you guys, so we're going in with my eyeshadow palette at the coffee shop by Juvia's Place. And with the look we're going for today, this is going to be perfect for us. Super excited. So it's pretty much like a halo eye I'm going for, but a very neutral, warm tone brown shade. I'm not using the reference picture that I've seen this particular look on Pinterest, but I pretty much can feel it out for myself and make it work. So week by week we continue to see the power of Steven grow, right? Like, oh my word, he is starting to affect Lucy's grade and GPA because she had to drop that class that he was in. She didn't have to, but I don't think she wants anything to do with him in the slightest, obviously. So she felt like for her own sanity, she, needed to drop the class. So since she did that, her GPA is now dropping and she can't do what she needs to do in her writing class. Like, the power, right? Okay, these shades don't have names, so I'm just going to point. I'm going to go in with these two first. They're the warm tone I'm looking for. I'm just going to take it right above the crease. You kind of want to blend it towards, like, up and towards the eyebrow. Sometimes when you have hooded eyes, you have to really make use of, like, the rest of your area up here because your eyes are so hooded. So that's just a little tip for my fellow hooded eye gals. So make use of your area because it definitely helps. So not only is Steven affecting Lucy's education, but he's also affecting Diana's too, because she's under a whole bunch of stress trying to keep his secrets, which I'm so disappointed in her. I'm so disappointed. Like, I don't know what more she needs to see or be told, but I'm really starting to be over her. Like, I'm telling you, she's about to go on the list. She's about to go on the Joffrey Baratheon list right next to her boo. I'm not understanding. Like, just the mere fact that she hasn't even asked him about Macy, about if he ever, dated her, ever talked to her, anything. She hasn't asked him anything about anything. And it's just all this evidence coming her way, leaning towards Lucy actually telling her the truth. And you've seen the evidence. You've seen the evidence for yourself on the computer, but what did you do? You deleted it? Girl. I'm so over her right now. Alright, so I'm going to take a clean brush to just sweep over this to help blend out. As you can see, we kind of have a pretty distinct line right here, so just want to blend that out. And if you have to go up into the eyebrow, do so. There's really nowhere else to go, so, but it's not going to look weird, like, it's just going to look well blended, and that's what you want. But how crazy is it, though, that Diana didn't pass the LSATs, but Steven did? Like, it just annoys me, that he has any shred of success, and his girlfriend and everybody around here, everybody else around him is, like, suffering. And it's not all because of him, but, like, it's got a lot to do with him. Okay, I'm gonna take this shade right here. I'm just gonna take it on the outer corner first. I'm going to take a little bit of the shade above it too, just to further the deepening, if that makes sense. Taking it in the inner corner as well. I live below some acorn trees, and every season when fall hits, you know, the acorns start falling off. I never get used to it because I'm like, because I have a tin roof in my house, so it's like very apparent that they're falling. I'm just like, good lord. I'm just gonna go back in with that initial brush to blend the edges out. So I'm gonna take this shimmer first right here, this bronzy looking one, and go in the middle. And I'm gonna go in with this one as well, just to top it off. Ooh la la. Just going back in with that brush we used for the darker shades, just to help blend it out. And I use my finger most of the time just because you get better pigment that way with shimmers. Or you can also take a flat brush and spritz it with like any kind of setting spray and do it that way. It just helps to make your shimmer more pigmented. But either one works. I'm just taking a little bit of this shimmer too. I'm just doing a little cocktail of the different shades. And I'm going back in with a little more product with those darker shades on the outer corner and inner corner, just to help highlight that middle. We want to lose the dimension of the eyes, if that makes sense. And just do one last sweep with that transition shade, not taking any more product, just sweeping over it. But keep the warmth and the transition. We'll come back to the eyes, of course. We're going to go in to our base. I'm going to take this primer by Serum, the Serum Glow Filter primer by Skinic Supplement Bar. I've used it a few times, obviously, because it's been used. Not too bad of a primer. Poor Sadie, Steven's sister, like, obviously she wants to think the best about her brother because, I mean, he's been a pretty solid sibling, you know, not taking that from him at all. So it's natural for her to, you know, stand up for Steven once Lydia reads him like a book, by the way. Hello. I was all here for Lydia reading Steven like she did. Like, go sis. Obviously it's natural for her to want to take up for her brother, but you don't know what he's done, what he's capable of, or any of that, sis. But I did feel really bad for her when Lucy sent that voicemail to her. I'm going to go in with my OG Born This Way foundation by Too Faced. Obviously we know a little bit of the history with their mom, and she looked genuinely distraught, you know, that her brother that she looks up to, that, you know, she thinks so highly of, could sound anything like their mother. So I felt pretty bad for her in that moment. And I do think Lucy was genuinely just trying to get her to see, hey, you know, I'm not just talking out the side of my neck. No matter how much he's trying to let you know that I'm crazy or a stalker or whatever, like, I genuinely am not lying to you, you know? I'm gonna go ahead and pair that up with the Born This Way Multi-Sculpting Concealer in the shade Maple. I don't think I've ever used these two products together before, so it'll be interesting to see, you know, if they work well together, being that they're from the same line. Sometimes you can be surprised that, you know, products not working well together and they're from the same beauty line. So So what a predicament Lucy's in now. You know what I'm saying? With like knowing wholeheartedly that her, best friend is screwing her beloved teacher's husband. It's gotta be super, I don't know if it's difficult or awkward, what, I don't know. It's definitely interesting to say the least. Well, we can put two and two together really, that the reason that Lydia has smoke with Lucy when she told her, in that one episode, oh, I'm never going to forgive you, or I'm not going to forgive you, whatever she said to her. We can safely assess that that has everything to do with Lydia's brother. Slipping stuff in the girls' drinks and taking advantage of them. We can safely say that's the reason. Just going to go in and bake using the A La Heart Revolution baking powder. Another one of my OGs. It's in the shade Chocolate Banana, and it smells scrumptious. And the thing is, I don't really feel like that's a valid. I don't really feel like that's. I mean, it is, but it's not, because it's just like, I don't know about y'all, but I'll watch a lot of true crime, and one thing that annoys the crap out of me is when loved ones of the suspect want to always sit here and say, oh, we stand by them. I know people say this all the time just because it's their family, but they would never do that, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, all the evidence and all the forensics and all the DNA points right to that loved one that they're defending. Like, of course you don't want to think that your loved one would do anything like that. But sometimes you just don't know what people are capable of, even if they're your family. If my brother murdered someone and all the evidence pointed at him that he did so, I'd hate to believe it, but I'd have to, because that's just what it is. Nothing else will make sense. I mean, just because he's my brother, it wouldn't make a difference. With that being said, I just feel like Lydia is going to be one of those people who's like, that just stands by her brother, blindly, even though, multiple girls he's done this to, I'm just going in and soaking up that any leftover powder. And I'm just going to go on with my Saharian blush palette by Juvia's Place and go in with the shade Neo. Here, I haven't used that in a long time. I'm just going to go and flesh the cheeks out. So yeah, I think ultimately she's going to be in a little bit of denial just because it's her brother and he'd never do anything like that, blah, 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 blah. So that's the direction I see that going in. I'm just going to go in with the Hula Toasted Bronzer by Benefit. And it's really sucky that, Pippa feels like she can't say anything. Like, she knows, not exactly what happened to her, but she knows something happened to her, and she's just gonna sit on it and not say anything. I just feel like it's just such a weakling thing to do, you know what I'm saying? Like, granted, I've never been in that position, thank God, and hopefully never will be, so I can't sit here and say, well, if I were in that position, I'd do this, but, I mean, I'd like to think that I would tell somebody, so... Because a lot of times it's when you come out later and say, oh, well, he did this to me too, where people think you're lying, because you sat on it for so long. But I understand why girls sit on it for so long, I feel like, because they feel embarrassed, they don't want to be the victim, all that stuff. So I just wish he'd say something. But, we'll see. We're just going to go back to the eyes and put some black eyeliner in the waterline. I'm going to go on with my ColourPop eyeliner. And this shade Swerve, and I used this last week, I think. It's just that potted liner. So creamy and super easy to put on, so why not? Going back to Diana real quick, I just hope she does not stay in Delulu land. Because right now she's delusional. You have evidence, you've seen it, you've seen the proof for yourself. What are we doing? Why are we just acting like everything's all fine and dandy, and then now you're the one, suffering from the truth that you know? I just hope she don't stay in Lululemon for too long. That's all I'm saying. I'm just gonna go in with a small blending brush and take some of that darker shade right here on the lower lash line to help buff that out. Actually, I'm gonna do a mix. I'm just gonna dust that darker shade off and go back in with the initial shades that I use, just to further blend it out, so it could also coincide with our eyes as well. Forgot my highlighter, folks, so I'm gonna go in with my Travel Highlighter in Volume 2 by Juvia's Place. I've had this one for a while too. Alright, you guys, while I'm waiting for my lashes to get tacky, I'm gonna go in with this Juvia's Place Luxe Liner in the shade Cocoa Latte. So, I was really surprised that Oliver took Brie outside. I mean, the hotel was one thing, but when they actually went to the bar and was seen, I was kind of shocked. But speaking of the bar scene, you already know what I'm about to say. So I don't know if Brie was embarrassed or what when he did this, but when the bartender was like, "Oh, you need to take her somewhere where they don't card," homegirl was pressed. Okay, taking this concealer, Makeup by Mario, in the shade 380. This stuff really comes in handy. Only thing I don't really use it for is my actual under eyes or anything, just because I find that it's a little patchy on that area of my skin. But it works so well with, if I use it for my lips, or I use it a lot of times on my to sculpt out my eyebrows. So I'm gonna have some new makeup for y'all in a couple weeks too, to try out. I'm super excited about that. Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but I found the bar scene to be very hot. So yeah, I had to go back and watch that scene with Oliver and Brie when they're at the bar, because it was hot, but it wasn't, because it was mostly out of possession. Him even doing that. It was out of him showing what he owns or whatever, and then it was also fuck you to the bartender most of all. So you could, it was hot, but at the same time, it wasn't. Because he didn't do it out of love, you know what I'm saying? He was just being an asshole because homegirl was pressed about him having an underage girl there, So, I don't know. I just wanted to, recant my statement. It was hot, but it wasn't. It's hot, but it's not. So take it even further, when they were talking about, her grooming and all this stuff. He's like, oh, well, that's not necessary. You don't need to do all that. Boy, that is her body. She could do with it what she sees fit, okay? I just found that to be really weird. So, possession and possessiveness, it's not always a good thing, because it usually leads to bigger things that aren't good. So, but anyway, I just had to let y'all know that. But back to our regularly scheduled program. But when he puts the ring on Brie's finger, I'm just like, what does this mean? What is he saying? Confused. I was surprised he didn't stay mad longer or he wasn't frustrated for any longer than he was about her telling Lucy about them. I mean, he wasn't not bothered by it, but I wasn't expecting him to just be like, oh, okay, it's okay, I'm not mad, Obviously, it's still a big deal, but it wasn't a deal breaker, if that makes sense. Just going in with this gloss by Fenty Beauty. Alright, you guys, eyelashes are on. I'm just going to give my face one last spritz with this morphing setting spray. Alright, you guys, that is all for today's video. This episode this week was bananas. There was a lot of twists and turns and things that are on its way to being brought to the light. Super excited. We're halfway through, so I can't wait to see what else unfolds. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you very soon in the next episode of Binge and Snatch.